But I was talking to somebody talking about four-wheel drive, and they were getting tailgated by somebody in their four-wheel drive and was very upset about it. So, and four-wheel drive can slide just as well as any other car, so just be mindful of that. Here are some of the questions and comments and concerns that are coming in. Is Aurora schools closed? No, Aurora schools are not closed. They are on today. I believe they're on a delayed schedule. All those closings are on the Denver 7 Facebook page, as well as the denverchannel.com and on the Denver 7 app. So if you can get to the Denver 7 app, it will have it right there on the top, all of the school delays and closures. But the only three major closures are Inglewood, Denver, and Jefferson County right now. Aurora is on that late school start. Cherry Creek schools are on a 90-minute delay. There you go. Hi, your bus is moving great. Diane, good. I'm glad your bus is moving. Some of the buses that I've been talking to RTD have been on a delayed schedule, anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes, depending on the route. Some of the buses have had some tough goings of it, going on some of the on the hills, especially. Let's see. Please tell me how traffic will be today heading up to Blackhawk using Highway 58. 58 is actually just going to be snow covered. Same thing along Highway 6. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Let me start with some of the drive times, and then we'll get to some of the CDOT cameras. How about we do that? So these are some of the drive times out to the I-70 drive. It's been hampered because we've had stalls out there on the drive right near Havana. And so you see it's about a half an hour here. 270 is right about that 10-minute range. I-76 has been better than average, and about a half an hour on I-25 up to the north. And that's pretty standard for us, obviously slow and go. And I've been looking also at the speeds. So you see the speeds down here, the average speeds along those trips. And you can see along Highway 36, it doesn't actually look too bad. Out to the west side of town, same thing. Speeds in the 50s on I-70, 30s along 6th Avenue. And it's moving fairly well, almost 20 minutes getting over to I-25. Speeds in the 30s and 40s along C-470. I've seen some slow traffic going up past Morrison. We'll take a look at over at Highway 58 in just a little bit. Downtown to the Denver Texeter have been pretty tough for us. 225 has been fairly slow. Speeds in the 30s for the most part. And coming out of Castle Rock, it's actually wet for the most part. Speeds, look at that, in the 50s and 60s north and southbound on I-25 through there. So let's go to the screenwriter, Bobby, and I'll show you some of the conditions. So this is I-25 up around the Thornton Parkway, and I'll have to switch, so I'm moving off the camera so I can switch these cameras. So you see over here on this side the list of the cameras that I can switch and show you, and it'll just take a second for it to pop up. There's 58th Avenue at I-25, so the conditions there are improving. Let's take a look at downtown Denver. And you can see how downtown Denver is actually moving along fairly well. And I think a lot of that is because the school system is not going today. I wanted to show you this camera here at Colorado Boulevard. I think this is the one that's on. There's one of them that's not working. Maybe that's the one. I'll try to switch that one. So it might just go to dark for just a second like that, and then it won't come on. So it's just perfect. We do have that heavy stop-and-go traffic there on I-25 at Evans, and you can see some of the snowpack, and then we go down to, let's say, Arapahoe Road, and you'll actually see more wet roadways down that way, depending on where you're going. So let me look at some of the questions and comments that might be coming in. So let's go take a look at Highway 58. I'll have to go switch the camera here. So this is up in Boulder. And let me get to the I-70 cameras because that'll help us out. So here's that I-70 Central Park camera, and you can see how much snow is out there across the roadways. And this will get us to 32nd Avenue, which is really close out there to Highway 58 in Golden. And it looks basically just wet at this point. It doesn't look too bad on Highway 6. Getting up there. So this is right by Highway 58, and you can actually see the lane markers out there. And let me get on 6th Avenue here, and we can actually go up to 119 right there. And we'll take a look at that. Douglas County Schools, yeah, on a 90-minute delay. St. Vrain Schools are also, I believe, on a delay this morning. Miguel, no, I don't think you can borrow the helicopter. I don't think that's going to be working out for you today. The helicopter is actually grounded for at least right now because they say there's icing conditions. When I used to fly in the helicopter, I used to fly for not only here, but 850 KOA radio. And we used to be able to fly in some of the really cold temperatures. It's really depending on how cold it is, and obviously you want to be safe in a helicopter because if it stops working, then it's just basically a flying rock. How is traffic at the Denver Capitol? It's actually very snowy, snow-packed. A lot of snow. Eric Lufer was driving around earlier on some of the snow-packed roads and around downtown Denver and around the Capitol, and it's very much snow-packed. I was looking at Colfax earlier. The sidewalks are really tough in around downtown Denver. Many of them have not been shoveled this morning. And so you see somebody right now in Boulder walking along some of the sidewalks. So I have seen some people out even riding their bikes into Boulder here. This is right there at 28th at about Colorado Avenue. Snow is terrible, okay. All schools are, no, they're not all schools are closed today. How does E470 look going to Aurora? We only have still camera shots of E470, and so far it doesn't look too bad. I'll go, let me get you a shot, if I can, of I-70 out to the eastern side of town. This one will be E470, well, that's Colfax. Let's see if that one works. Yep, and so you see some of the sunshine out there, and it looks mostly wet with some ice on the lens, and so that's what it looks like out to the east side of town. Let's see if this camera at E470 comes up. Sometimes it doesn't, but it's those ramps and bridges, ramps and overpasses are extremely slick, and you'll see some of the snow, so you'll see some clear areas where you're going, hey, it doesn't look too bad, and then you're going to be coming off the highway going 50 miles an hour and then hit some of this ice as you're trying to stop a little bit faster than you might anticipate, and then I've seen crashes because of that here this morning. I don't mind the snow, but the ice is not nice. Okay. Hey, you're a poet and you didn't even know it. Hawaii sounds great, John. You know what even also sounds great? I just came back from a cruise. They went down to the Caribbean, St. Kitts and St. Thomas and Nassau. That was fantastic. Way better than the snow. Government offices open today. Corey, some are and some aren't. Most of them are on a delayed schedule. I heard from Jefferson County, who said that if you should contact your supervisor and determine for yourself if you think it's safe to come into work today or not. I would think that's probably a good rule. Just talk to your supervisor if you think that you won't be able to make it. Hello, Damon. How much snow conditions does it take to give you a snow day? Never. You know that. Ask Christine. What does it say for Evergreen, Colorado? Kathy, it is very, you know what? I have some ice. We're live on Facebook right now. Yeah, you can just jump on in there.
Okay, I just went for a coffee run because I got iced coffees today because 0 degrees is naturally. Thank you.
See, there you go.
See what a good coworker I am.
Perfect. This is I-70 up in Genesee, and you can see how much snow they have on the grass, but I-70 doesn't look too bad. The winds aren't too bad. As you can see, the anemometer there is actually going from, well, just a little breeze to calm, but you can see some wet conditions, and that sunshine is really going to help out the drive here this morning. As soon as we get more of the sun, even if it's below freezing, as long as we have sunshine, because of our altitude, it will start to dry off these roadways. So by mid-morning, by lunchtime, most of the roads that have bare pavement should be turning to dry conditions, and then it's going to take some time before some of the roads in and around downtown Denver and some of the other suburbs where we do have snow cover to start breaking up that ice and snow. Let's see, I'm glad I don't live in the Northeast. Yeah, me too. Highway 73 and 74 out through Evergreen. I don't have any cameras. I used to have cameras up that way, but this is pretty much similar conditions. You are going to have similar conditions on 74 coming down from Evergreen through Idledale, maybe down to C470. And 285 has been on and off snowpack conditions up there, but the chain law and the traction law has been lifted along 285, so that helps you with some of the conditions. Arizona. John, sounds, yeah, pretty good to me. How's I-25 from Fort Collins? Debbie, all right, let's go to the north side. Here's the I-25. Let's get back to my I-25 cameras right here, and I can go way north. So we'll go up to Highway 34 first. Well, here's Prospect and Harmony. Let's see how some of these cameras look for you, and we'll see. So there's Harmony, and you can see I-25. Let's go to Crossroads there outside of Loveland, and it hasn't been too bad up there on Crossroads, and you can see actually dry pavement, it looks like now, at least on I-25. And they have a camera here. Let me get to Highway 34, right there at I-25 there in Loveland. And this is usually a really nice camera and shows some really good weather. And right now you see it's basically wet. Now some of the bridges are still going to be icy just because they're going to stay colder than the other parts of the pavement. But when we have some of that sunshine hitting the pavement here, I think it's going to start drying out pretty nicely. So the north end, even though yesterday it was really, really tough, and even I-25 was closed down for a time yesterday, up there around Erie, it actually doesn't look too bad right now. Let's see. If you don't like snow, move. Okay. Roads are still bad in Broomfield, not plowed at all. Cheryl, I did see some, I can do that. I have a couple of cameras up there in Broomfield, up along, let's see, where are my Broomfield cameras? So we'll take a look at the one at 120th and Main Street. And then we'll take a look at 120th and Sheridan. And right now as it pops up, and you can see that snow cover that Cheryl is talking about here at 120th and Main. And it's very slow going, obviously, as you can see. And some turning out of not only the neighborhoods, but also the major roads are going to be a problem for us this morning. And sometimes the camera will stop, it'll freeze. And I hope it won't just go completely to dark, because it does that sometimes. That's part of my world, people, part of my world. Let's see. How's Arvada? Let's take a look at Arvada. I can take a look at more of, let's say, Highway 36 up parts of Arvada, I-70 out that way. Let's see. I have my Highway 36 camera right there. And let's go to Wadsworth. And we can go to, you can see that Highway 36 has some snow cover, but the traffic looks pretty light, and that's why I saw some of the drive times not looking too bad for us. It looks wet here around Church Ranch, and let's go down to Sheridan and see what that looks like. And you can see the conditions there at the ramp to Sheridan. And some of the buses that you can see, this is the major RTD station right here where they're dropping off, and they have a lot of folks that come into this RTD station. It is going to be a little bit slower than average because the buses are going to be delayed today. Tricia, I just talked about Evergreen just a bit ago. That's not too bad. Clear to careful on the ice. Denver had plows. But Denver had plows on bike paths instead of roads. I did see that picture too, Ed. And they are trying to plow the bike paths as well as, well, I guess they're not really plowing the sidewalks. I saw so many sidewalks in downtown Denver unshoveled. It is really tough going right now. Wheat Ridge is much of the same as we just saw some of the conditions here out in Wheat Ridge, like 38th and 44th. Let me go take a look at the map out that way. Let me see if I get my I-70. See, Dan, it goes dark like this sometimes. While we're waiting, I'll take a look at Vail Pass camera while I try to scroll down to I-70, and that's what it looks like at Vail Pass up in the mountains. Here's Kipling. We'll take a look at Kipling out that way. But let me look at Arvada. Some of those side streets out there don't look too bad. The drive times actually are on the higher side with speeds not too slow for us out there right now as I'm looking at the overall map. Let's see, a lot of the slowest traffic I've seen downtown to the Denver Tech Center, especially I-25 University Colorado Boulevard, I-70 to the east side, 270. And there goes Nicole. So here's what I'm doing. So I'm at a key wall. And see now, all right, here we go. There's.
Cheers, Jace. Cold brew. Oh, hi.
There they go. That's what I have to deal with every single day. All girls. Okay, how's Federal headed towards 120th? Much like this, it's going to be some snow-packed, icy conditions in some of those streets, but actually the traffic doesn't look too bad. You're welcome for the updates. How about Parker? Susan, let's take a look at some of the Parker updates. Okay, let me go take a look at. I do have some cameras there on Parker Road. Highway 83 here. We'll take a look at Broncos Parkway first, and then we'll again get down by the Pinery. So I don't have a ton of cameras down that way, but you can see some of the slower traffic. It's a blurry right there by Broncos Parkway, which is just south of Arapahoe Road. And there you can see some of the snow cover on Parker at the Pinery. So it's a lot like this in much of those areas. Didn't get quite as much on the roads, let's see, on I-25 down to the south as we did in some of the other areas here this morning. Bring on the sun. Hi, morning crew. You're awesome. Thank you very much. I have about 3 more minutes of this before we have to do our news break for Good Morning America and get ready for that. Emporia, Kansas. We had some ice, thunder, sleet, and snow. Now it's really cold. But it will get better. Oh, this is our picture from our Lookout Mountain camera, and look how gorgeous that is. That is really, really pretty. But it's overlooking the foothills and looking at some of the snow that we've had out there to the west side of town. A lot of snow and ice still on the streets in Akron. Actually, you guys have actually had some of the coldest temperatures this morning, and it has been actually dropped down to, I think, 20 degrees below zero out at Buckley Air Force Base this morning. Here comes the sun. Yeah, the old George Harrison. Hello, Adam. How's Parker area? We just talked about that. Ski season, Colorado. Yes, yes, yes. We just talked about that. Longmont, U.S. Highway 34. We talked about that. Highways south downtown. We did talk about some of those. Oh, more Highway 36 stuff. So let's go take a look at some of the. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of downtown cameras. So that's not helping us out here. Oh, Crossroads. That just went dark. So let me go take a look at I-25 here down by Santa Fe and Logan, which is basically Broadway. You can see some of the slow traffic. It's really the sunshine that's really making. There's Logan right over top of I-25, and you can see how much snow cover is on Logan. This is looking just to the north right by that building. Here's I-25. That was the north and southbound side, and it's really the sunshine that's really, really tough right now. Somebody was asking about C-470. Just another couple minutes here. C-470 over by, let's go University. Right now, at least on the drive times, C-470 looks pretty standard. Let me roll through some of those again as I will have to reset this for just a quick second. But there you go, C-470. It looks lighter than normal traffic, as you saw down there. And right now, the speeds don't look too bad. So I'll go through some of the drive times. You see 225 is busy, I-25 downtown to the Denver Tech Center. But everywhere else, it's actually a little bit lighter than normal. I think we're going to see more traffic build as some of the school systems start accepting the kids here because of the late start. Like my kids are on I think it's an hour-and-a-half delay. So that would put it at 10 o'clock. And so right after that, I think we're going to see a lot more people hit the roadways. But I-70 has been slow. Now it's about 25 minutes either direction here. The north side still at about a half an hour. Still about 25 minutes or so on Highway 36. Still about 15 minutes on I-70 to the east and 6th Avenue to the east. C-470, this is better than average. That's usually closer to 30 or 35 minutes, and that's a little bit better than average. But that sunshine should really affect us here. About 30 to 35 minutes here on I-25 north and south, and that's really a lot of sunshine and also the conditions there, especially between Hamden, Yale, getting on up to about Logan and Broadway, as we just saw. And then you can see even 225 is busier than normal. And I think a lot of this is because of that transition getting onto I-70, which has been pretty tough. We saw some of the slow conditions there on Parker Road, but look, even down in Castle Rock, it's a little bit better than average. So we're coming up on our news break for Good Morning America, so we'll have to wrap this up. I'll go through a couple more questions, and everything looks okay. How's Thornton to Loveland? I-25, we took a look at that. It's actually better the farther north you go, and then it is going from, let's say, Thornton and North Glen. So it is going to be improved conditions farther to the north. We talked about Highway 36, 34 in Greeley. That again, Brittany, is starting to get a lot drier. And as soon as we get more of this sunshine, I think really by mid-morning and by lunchtime, a lot of those roads that were just wet are going to be drying out really, really nicely. Thanks for joining me here on the Facebook Live broadcast. Thanks for all the questions, comments, and I'm a little concerns me just a little bit. All right, thanks again. We'll see you next time, and we'll see you on air, of course, and all of our platforms here on Denver 7.